ready to go.
All right, we back, people. Dougie Faye,
Face on the barber.
Dougie Gibson,
Calvin.
Nice to meet you, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Nice to have you on the
Got
podcast. I know
the
we got Corona going on right now.
Yeah, we got the coronavirus going on, but we want to just give thanks for his service, you know what I'm saying, to our country, because, you know, a lot of times, and this is no disrespect to everybody out there, because, you know, I don't mean no disrespect, but we got to start telling a lot of our black people, thank you for your service, instead of, you know, a lot of other people.
Man, I appreciate it, man. Thank you for your support.
And
that was one of the things that we were talking about.
Yeah.
Like, we want to talk about, like, black people generally don't tell other black people who are in the service, thank you for your support. And I started noticing this like years ago, man. Like, it wasn't a thing. Like, I didn't need my black people to tell me thank you for your service, because we already represent, man. Like, they see you go, you're on your grind, you're like, oh, okay, he decided to do that instead of like rap or play ball, which is shit. I can rap.
Yeah,
I can play ball. Like, I literally have an album. I have an album that I put out maybe about 12 years ago. I was like, I gotta feed my daughter, man. Like, I can't.
You want to put it out there for them to take a get
Is it on Spotify?
No. I have it on my Apple Music, but you know, I mean, we can talk about that if you get comments. If you get comments on it, maybe we'll talk about who
We'll shoot
who
his
KJ
information
Chamberlain is.
We'll shoot his information to you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But I mean, so, you know, coming up in the military, it was always white people. You know what I mean? And like, it was so funny because I was staggered when I first heard it. It wasn't a surprise, but I was like, what do I say back? And one of my brothers, man, he been in just as long as me, man, decorated airman. He was like, man, I always say thank you for your support. I was like, genius. That's all you say. So when I say thank you for your support, that's what we say. But I noticed nobody black said thank you for your service until a black man said it to me. And I'm in Walmart, and I'm like, why you say that to me, man? I was like,
you got your uniform on?
Because he appreciates what you stand for.
He was prior service.
True.
And I was like, click. Only black people who prior service.
But not a regular civilian.
No, it wasn't a regular black civilian. Most of the time, they be like, brother, you a soldier? I'm like, no, I'm in the Air Force. I'm an airman. You know what I mean? But that's a different topic. But one of the things we said we was going to talk about is like how black people don't necessarily say thank you for your service to other black people, because I really think that black people, they care about their country, but this country don't care about them like that. Right. So therefore, the reciprocity for like, you're defending this country, but like, ain't nobody running up in my hood. You ain't in my hood, like, you know what I mean? And
so you're saying that they think you're a sellout?
No, I wouldn't say that, because
really? You never met a black person that would sit there and look at another black person that stands for himself in something and don't have that thought of saying sellout.
I would think that would happen if you were a black cop.
I mean, because if you don't agree,
it's
the same thing. It's the same thing.
No.
Black people, to a certain extent, not all. We're talking about 10%.
Okay.
Right?
Okay, 10%.
10%.
Okay.
They don't respect authority, especially black authority.
Well, so man, you talking to the right motherfucker about
That's what I'm
this,
trying
right?
to tell you.
So
We got this motherfucker.
Look, that's cool. Because when black people do not respect authority, like, for shit. That's why sometimes black people struggle in the military. You know what I mean? Because of that whole authority piece. And we've been there. Shit, I got an ID I can pull out from when I was like 24 years old. My shit cocked like T.I. In the goddamn, like, goddamn, I look back, I'm like, what the fuck? Then I notice I got a normal cock. So it's like, it's whatever, right?
Yeah.
But people in the military are not rolling up in hoods, putting that authority on black people. But traditionally, every black person that you know has somebody or knows somebody that's went to the service to better themselves.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So there's always a tie to good with black people in the military. Unless you go to the military, act brand new, act like you better than somebody. That's when people be like, fuck you, sell out.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I've heard officers black officers get it a lot.
Oh yeah, well.
Yeah.
That's you like the only.
Come on, brother. Fuck wrong with you, man? You gonna give me a fucking ticket? Come on.
No. He's saying black officers in the military.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, shit. I mean.
No, it's all good. That's what
we
we're
the same
for.
shit.
Yeah. We correcting errors and
I don't know everything about the military.
No,
shit.
it's fine.
I'm a motherfucking barber.
Well, so there's when people do that, sometimes like to be an officer, you have to have a degree. You know what I mean? And sometimes you go to like
certain schools and stuff like that.
well, not only just certain schools, because you can go through the armed forces actual colleges like the academies, and what you got to understand, what happens in the military is there's an institutionalization that happens.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And so when you're an officer, there's a different level of institutionalization because they're trying to put you on a different type of mind frame because you got 3 types of levels. You know what I mean? Strategic, operational, tactical. And most black people that get straight into the service and the enlisted, they're gonna be in the tactical level, right? So they only expected to do this, do that, do this, just do your normal job, right? Day-to-day tasks. But as an officer, they want you to think operationally, even though you might be in the tactical world. They want you to think strategically. So they're putting, you're an officer, you're this, you're that. And it's not necessarily about black and white up front, right? Subconsciously, there could be some racism in there, black people deal with, but they're bred to think differently, like most officers, in which most officers are white.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So you might have black enlisted people who will be the first one to say a black officer is a sellout. Shit, I've been there.
That's like the Uncle Tom syndrome right there.
Yeah, but if you acting like that, it's hard trying to.
But you know, a lot of black people. Well, a lot of people. I'm not gonna say black people. Excuse me. Are naive and ignorant. So you don't. It's like if I sit here and I say I know exactly what's going on in your fleet or your office, and I really don't know.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? I just know about what I see. I don't know about the operations, the mental capacity that that y'all deal with every day.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah. I get it. So what's up, man? What we got some questions and stuff?
Yeah, man. We're going over sexual misconduct today in broad terms. We know in the military, but we're going to speak on that a little bit, but then we're going to just overall, because my man Faison deals in the civilian world all day, every day.
Every day. I don't know shit about it.
And so we're just going to just give her some broad questions, but then we're going to break it down into the military aspect because you have a military background. Cool?
Just a little bit.
So first things first. How does it feel and what is it like being in the military as a black man in this generation versus being back maybe in the 80s and the 90s?
Yeah, that's a good question, man.
It's a good question. You know what I mean? Times are different. And we are able to, so, big up to General Brown, who's a black general out on PACAF, so that's Pacific Air Force, who was about to be the first black, chief of the Air Force, pretty much. You know what I mean? It's speaking in layman terms, right? So he's about to be chief of staff for the Air Force, and he's the first black one, right? And so I was in Korea this time last year, and he ended up coming down there. But I met him in January at a conference I went to, and he had a black right-hand man, Command Chief, Chief Johnson. And I met him, cool, he seemed good. Then he come to find out, when I was in Korea, he used to be a commander out there, so he came back. He's a fighter pilot, and he about to be the first chief of staff for the Air Force. And that's a big deal right now, right?
Especially for a black person.
Especially for a black person. And, I mean, you got to play politics in the military. You got to play politics everywhere.
Well, I hear it all the time. Air Force is the cheer force. You don't do a lot, but then you got people, and my cousin, my boy, shout out to my man Riley Davis. He just got out. He was it 6-7 years he was in, and he said a lot of kissing ass in the Air Force.
Man, everybody. So you
speak on it.
You always. So here's the thing, man. If you take we've been here. I mean, me and you had a conversation about higher levels of education.
Yes.
If you ever taken a critical thinking class, you know what I mean. You got to understand that people gonna spit off what they think they know, and people can take it as gossip. You know what I mean? Because there's a rhetorical triangle of how you speak, right?
Yeah.
But, like, he was in for 7 years, and what did he do? Like, I don't know him, and I'm not saying his experience wasn't what it was.
It wasn't valid, yeah.
But, I mean, it just depends, because everybody has their mentality. I used to work on planes, right? So people who work on planes think that people who don't work on planes are, like, not relevant or not as good as them. Yeah. But everybody is supporting his mission to fly a plane. But we're called airmen. But airmen are only known to fly. But everybody in the Air Force is an airman. Just like everybody in the Army is a soldier. You know what I mean? But one of the messed up things about our core competencies, yes, I'm saying this, is that we have airmen in our rank. in the lower tier.
Okay.
So you're an airman until you're like E5, and then you're a staff sergeant, right?
Yeah.
So if you say airman to a chief master sergeant who's an E9, he gonna think twice. He gonna be like, "You calling me air? Oh, we all airmen."
Right.
And I said, and I had a conversation with a higher level enlisted. I was like, we need to get rid of airmen to give airmen back to the Air Force, right? Because it's causing confusion. But I would say this, man, like the Air Force is a technical force. You know what I mean? Like we can say we're airmen first, which is such a broad concept that you try to wrap your mind around, but it's hard to. You know what I mean? So when I say being in the Air Force, how does it feel being in the armed forces as a black person? It's different. But there's still some things that are the same. And I can give you an example today, man. I'm in the office working, doing my thing, right? And I'm the only black man in the office besides a reservist who's working there temporarily. But he was there before I was, and he's going to leave in July. But he work off in the back corner, right? Like in the corner. Okay. And so I'm at work, God, what were they talking about? They were talking about guns or something. Then they started talking about Harlem Nights. Had all these white people talking about Harlem Nights.
Oh, the
right?
Best comedians.
Well, they just start, man, bruh.
I wish I was there.
Bruh. So they started talking about Harlem Nights, and they were talking about how Della Reese was talking about the juice and all this, and so I felt like they were looking for me to chime in, right?
Which they was.
Right. And I'm like, I ain't saying shit to y'all. Well, like, y'all gonna have to figure that shit out yourself. Like they're like, hey. I'm like, no, I'm not giving y'all that one, right?
Yeah.
So there's still a discrepancy, especially to me. Like, so I work in the law field, and I'm working the higher headquarters right now. And you know, in officers in law, but I won't say law enforcement. I work in the legal field. I'm a legal professional. I'm a paralegal by trade. I'm a legal professional who deals with the ramifications of people getting in trouble or just like targeting. Like we deal with a lot of stuff legally.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you'll see a lot of black people at the same time, like you might see in a logistics squadron. And when I say the logistics squadron, like you heard of UPS, you heard, it's just everything about transportation.
Yeah.
It's more of a, you see more black people in that, or you see more black people in the security forces, which is like police. There's a lot of reasons for it. So it's different. But there's still some similarities. But it feels good. I mean, you can walk around. You got white people buying you. You cannot get first class in uniform in the Air Force. But people are like, hey, first class. Hey, let me buy you lunch. Let me buy you this in uniform. They walk around, see me walk around with a Wu-Tang shirt and some J's on. They were like,
What the fuck is going on with him?
I ain't saying they say it.
Well, some of them might be like, hey, you
You
chilling
never
tonight?
know until they hear me speak.
Yeah.
You never know, man. But hopefully I answered that question.
You did. Moving on to the topic for the day, sexual harassment and misconduct. What is it, how is it defined in the military versus and do you know the legal terms for it in the military and in the civilian world?
So here's what I'll tell you. To answer that question like a politician, like a true politician.
Okay. Oh my God.
No, but I'm gonna rein it back in.
Please
right?
just give us something.
I'm gonna give you this, right?
Okay.
So sexual assault.
Okay.
When you hear that word, what do you think about?
It's physical. That's what I think automatically.
So
taking
assault.
advantage.
Yeah.
Okay. So the thing about sexual assault, well, first of all, it's bad, right?
Absolutely.
Because I mean,
disclaimer: we don't condone any of that.
No, but I like to call it sexual misconduct because you talk about it. I talk about a continuum of harm, right?
Yeah.
And the continuum of harm starts with sexual objectification, which is not a crime,
Verbal.
but it don't even have to be verbal. Like you.
I mean, it starts with that though.
No, it starts with
the look.
If you watching porn,
It starts with the look.
what's up? Go ahead.
Go ahead. Continue that point before I chime in.
Well, when you watch porn, right? If you go in the strip club, you watching porn, you looking at magazines. There's sexual objectification everywhere. You turn, right?
Okay.
And I'm not saying that it's good, bad, or ugly. There's some forms that are bad, but there are some low levels of it that you just take it as everyday life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but it starts there. You don't know how people's minds work, so they take it how they take it. So you watching porn, which is a level of sexual objectification and desensitization of sexuality, right? Which is why people should not learn how to have sex from porn, because that's not real.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? It starts there, and it can go from that to sexual harassment. You can be working with somebody, or you can see somebody like, hey, catcalling and all that stuff. It starts there. Then it's just an elevation, and an escalation.
Okay.
Right. So it can get all the way to what could be rape, and rape used to just be this term for a person forcefully taking advantage of. But it used to only be a man against a woman, and then maybe a man against a man. But now in the military, they have gone through, because in the military, people are seen as, I ain't gonna say better than other people, but there is a higher level of expectation of behavior in the military.
Yes.
Right? So
that's in and out.
In and out,
Yeah.
right?
So in and out of uniform.
Yeah.
Well, what I'm saying is, inside the military, there's a higher level of expectation of behavior, and the civilian world looking inside, saying, "Y'all are going. We're paying your everybody who pays taxes pays for everything, but the military's pay." It was like, we're sending our kids there. We don't expect them to go there and get sexually assaulted. Well, first of all, sexual misconduct happens everywhere.
Gotcha.
And matter of fact, it happens more in the civilian world than it does in the military.
The military is only like what, 3% of the population?
Man, you can pull the Google up real quick. You can ask Siri, but you know what I mean. Like the numbers are so skewed. But what it was is one of the things that happened in the military is the military has a different type of justice system.
Yeah.
Different from the civilian.
Different from the civilian, because we can have a court, we can have that, but when you have a commander who's the convening authority, he can take what the judge or the jury, a judge that sentence to that person, and he can look at it and say, "Oh no, I don't like that. Let's make it less." He can't make it more, but he can make it less. So what ended up happening? There's a couple of things that happened. It wasn't it, but it was just this one thing. There was a sexual misconduct. Somebody got in trouble. They went to court. They got sentenced, and that one commander, who's the convening authority for that court, was like, "Nah, we're gonna make this a little less because I don't believe that." And everybody's like, "Oh shit, how you just gonna do that?" And then that's one of the reasons that Congress went back and started changing the laws, and then start changing who can make decisions on sexual misconduct.
So Congress has the authority over military law.
Congress has the authority over all federal law.
Okay, cool.
All federal law. Congress, listen, quick, just like you remember on Saturday morning, the fucking I'm Just a Bill on Capitol Hill. Y'all remember the ABC shit? God damn.
Yeah,
anyway,
it's been
is it so quick lesson in civics.
Okay.
You got the legislative branch, you got the executive branch, and you got the judicial branch. What does that mean? You got the executive branch that enforces the law. That's just like the police rolling around here, right?
Gotcha.
You got the legislative branch that makes the law. But so the police are enforcing the law that the legislative branch makes. But what happens if you get pulled over, you have a crime or something, what do you got to do? So maybe sit in jail, then you got to go in front of the court, and they interpret the law.
Yes.
Right. So, but the military falls under the executive branch, under the president, and he's the commander-in-chief, right? But so the military, being the law enforcement branch, but still has its own military justice system, right? So it almost falls into an administrative law type situation, which is considered like the secret fourth branch of law, because you can make your own laws, but they can't, because it's still coming through the federal law.
And you can interpret it differently.
We have to, but we have it all. We have law enforcement. We have, like me, I'm a legal professional. And then you have judges that come through and bang the gavel, right? So what I'm saying is, the Congress made those laws. So everything, all our laws, like we have, you heard of Article 15 before?
Yes. In the military, yeah.
All that is non-judicial punishment. They're saying that a commander can take action non-judicially on a person that they own.
Yeah.
Oh man.
And that sounds like some master shit, right? That sounds like some slave. But no. That's power given by the president to commanders to command their troops. Because if you didn't have military law, people could be in the military like, take this hill. I ain't about to go do shit. So it's a negative. It's conceived. It's a negative connotation with military law.
What was the name of that movie with
A Few Good Men?
Prime example.
That's the the cliche movie.
I was sitting
But
there thinking that.
to reel it in, man, there's a lot of different things going on with the justice system. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Period. But in the military, it's they changed the laws
Gotcha.
for the military, which there's a lot of laws out there, but for us, we still fall under federal law,
Right.
federal jurisdiction, and they
Right.
changed it. They changed it 3 times in like 12 years.
Wow.
But
Nobody
legally,
did that.
there are. So I'll tell you, there's rape, there's sexual assault.
And it's sexual harassment.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot that people don't know because people just put the umbrella term of sexual assault and it means everything. Like, how the hell are you supposed to figure that out?
I got you.
You know what I mean? So, but legally, rape, sexual assault, aggravated sexual contact, and abusive sexual contact in the military. What's the difference? You're like, what is all that?
What is
I
that
can tell you the
levels?
difference. I can tell you the difference. And I made a quad chart to how to explain to people. Really, what you have is you have rape. Rape deals with the worst way. You think about somebody trying to kill somebody, talking about them giving a drug, like choking somebody out, and the sexual act of penetrating them. Aggravated sexual contact is all the same things without the sexual act. You know what I mean?
It's
Like
like
groping?
It's like
It's-
almost like an attempt.
The groping. It's like you're touching somebody to harass them, to humiliate them, or for sexual gratification, but without penetration.
Okay.
So rape and aggravated sexual contact are in the same family. One just deals
Is
with
the punishment?
fondling. We'll say fondling versus penetration.
Right.
Now, is the punishment still the same?
You have to. So there's different types of punishments for different
Categories?
types of crimes,
Okay.
right? But sexual assault, which is different than rape,
Oh,
but sexual assault still deals with penetration. That's
you're
the
confusing me.
no, but that's what's wrong with everybody
Okay.
because everybody doesn't know. And I can tell you, like, there's a discrepancy all over the world of what sexual assault is because they throw sexual assault around like it's
It's
the
an umbrella term.
buzzword. It's the umbrella term.
I got
But
you.
there are specific in the military. Sexual assault is a specific charge that deals with penetration only, and it deals with no consent, not having like sleeping with
That's
somebody
not-
while they're asleep.
That's rape.
No,
No, that's not rape, bro.
not rape deals with trying to kill somebody,
Okay.
threatening death, bodily harm. Like I'll
Okay.
break your goddamn,
Yeah.
I'll break your leg or have and you actually have like there's a lot.
So give us an example of a sexual assault.
Having sex with somebody while they sleep.
So, like a Bill Cosby.
Wow.
A Bill Cosby.
Bill Cosby would have been considered rape because
Yeah,
he was
because-
actually giving them the
Yeah, he
drug.
was giving them drugs,
Okay.
bro.
That's the difference. Like so,
Wow.
but this is why legal professionals exist to break all this stuff down.
Gotcha.
And that's why legal professionals are not cops, because cops are the one busting people up. Hey, what are you doing? Lock them up, and then they bring it to the legal professional. You're like, no, it wasn't that. It might have been this, but it wasn't that. And we're supposed to discern what actually happened based on the law.
Gotcha.
Right.
Whew. Boy, that's a lot of shit. I'm telling you, man.
No, so there is. It's almost like like he's saying, there are categories. You know what I'm saying, but each category has a different amount of time.
Yeah, for sure.
True.
Maximum punishment. If you ever watch the court case, they sit there and they break down elements of a crime.
Yeah.
And if there's a crime and there's 3 elements to a crime and only 2 elements are met and that last one's not met, that person's not guilty of that crime. They have to meet all 3 elements.
In the military.
No,
Oh,
period.
period.
Period. That's the way that law
Damn.
works.
That's crazy.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Bro, that's crazy.
Yo.
What's next, man? What you got? We could.
That's
For real.
crazy, son.
You got anything, man? I know I got all the questions.
No,
but
no,
You
it's
got
fine.
anything for 'em?
So, well, have you ever heard, not saying you, of somebody applying sexual misconduct on somebody that you know?
Well, shit, man. So
Well, how about this? Have a woman or a man ever come at you in a manner that was inappropriate, that led to sexual misconduct?
All right, so I feel like there's 2 questions. So
Well,
I'm
it
gonna
is two-
I'm
it is
gonna-
two
I'm gonna-
questions.
Let me address the latter one first, right?
Okay.
So, have I ever been sexually contacted without consent? Have there ever been a sexual misconduct against me? Like, what?
Well, you can't consent to something if somebody's going to say something out of conduct, right?
Well, no. So it all deals with consent. right? Like,
But my thing is,
Wow, that's
is
deep. So I
consent
didn't know
when. Are you thinking about speaking, or like the contact, like the actual?
It's the
physical?
same thing, bro.
well, so that's
Because the speaking thing, I'm like, I don't understand why you have to have like, hey girl, can I talk to you for a minute and then speak game?
well, so consent is
That's technical.
That's a head scratcher.
there
I'm
is
scratching my head on that one.
misconception of what consent really is because people
Okay.
throw the word out.
Okay,
But what
explain.
is consent? Consent is a verbal agreement to the
Right.
activity that's going to happen.
Right.
Second, there's an overt act to show that you are complicit with said conduct.
So the latter part, does that have? That's what usually happens. Is the
Yeah, because most communication
is not
is
verbal.
nonverbal.
Exactly.
There's probably, if you Google it, it's probably about a 90% nonverbal
Yes.
that communications happen, especially sexually, right?
Mhm.
You know, you Netflix and chilling, you ain't over there like, hey, look, so I really want to have sex tonight,
Yeah.
and I would really love it if we could have sex. Can you bust that shit? Matter of fact, before we do it,
But
I
we-
actually love
but
that
we
you
not-
suck me first,
But
right?
that's like the foundation of what a person would say, and you like, yeah, that motherfucker just said something out of context.
Right, but see, so in civilian world, you can actually get away with that.
Okay.
I'm not saying that it's right, but they don't prosecute sexual assault the same way in the civilian world because prosecutors and defense attorneys like to pad their numbers and they don't like to take cases that they might lose.
Right.
Gotcha.
But in the military, since it's such a high interest item,
Mhm.
we're investigating every single sexual assault or sexual misconduct to make sure that we're taking care of the victim.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because of the scrutiny that we have received.
Gotcha.
Which is become a not a hassle, but it has bogged down our overly worked system already. But we're still doing it.
Mhm.
But in the civilian world, if it's a guy versus a girl, and she was over his house late night, right, and they end up having sex, and she's saying, "Did he rape you? What's rape? Did he try to kill you?" Dad said, "No, I just said no," and then he wanted to have sex, and then we had sex, and I let him. Prosecutor would be like.
So you go further. They go further. They go further.
But
We
my
go
thing-
all the way.
They go
We
further.
go all the way to a court to where people have to choose whether they believe the victim or the accused.
I mean, that makes more sense because
Yeah.
they're more strategic. So you saying that he raped you? Okay, did you?
Finish.
Were you in the bed? Did he invite you into the bed? No, I went on my own reconnaissance. Okay. Were you guys kissing? Yeah, we were kissing. Did he slide your panties off with your consent? Yeah, I did. Did he wear a condom? Yeah, he did.
Did you tell him to wear a condom?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Those
every
specific-
every single thing matters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
They
Like,
need that out here, bro.
That's what I'm saying. But
They need
again,
that.
again, a person
Yeah.
has the ability to say no, even in the middle of sex.
They had that on Breakfast Club. They had that on the Breakfast Club, and they was asking the girl, and the girl was like, "I told him no right in the middle of the sex," and he kept going, and she said he raped her.
That's not rape. That's sexual assault. In our world.
In his
In
world,
period, in
technical
period.
terms.
No. Technically, that's how it's going to
That's how
start
it's
being
supposed to
broken
be.
down.
Yeah.
It's going to start being broken down because rape is not an umbrella term and sexual assault is not an umbrella term. There are different terms for all this stuff. Grabbing somebody's
Because
ass without
she
consent.
did consent
That's
from the
sexual
beginning, right?
Yeah, but there's a video called if you were to Google it or something, it's about drinking the tea. Like you can't force people to drink your tea.
Right,
Like you
right.
can make the cup of tea, but you can't force that person to drink the cup of tea.
Right,
like
right.
even if they're drinking the tea and they don't want no more tea, you
Right.
can't force them to continue drinking that tea.
Right,
And
right.
that's the analogy for sex. And that's fucked up, but it's real. Because you should not be making people do things that they don't want to do.
Mhm.
Right? That's why porn doesn't help. You know what I mean? That's why not understanding and having emotional intelligence for people doesn't help. You know what I mean? That's why you always have to have reverence for people, right? Like, because even though, man, we dudes, like, you know how I go out here, right?
Yeah.
Because they say, oh, you know how guys are. Bullshit. You got to change the rape culture because we got daughters out here. We got mamas. Like, We got all the, you have to respect them. I remember one of the first things a woman that hit home for me when I was young and I was in, you know, dealing with multiple women. A woman said to me, "Look, just don't lie to me. Give me the option." And I was like,
man, I can tell you stories about that, but keep going.
but that's what I'm saying though.
Yeah.
But that hit home. It's like, you know what? Why lie to a person? Have to keep up that lie?
Right.
When you can just give them the option, like, you know what? Take me as I am. Yeah, this is what's going on.
I'm fucking 5 females. Not saying I am, but before. I'm fucking 5 females.
Yeah.
Are you okay with that?
And they make the decision.
No, that's what you were saying. Being upfront, being
Being
honest.
upfront. You just tell them straight up and down. I'm dating. Possibly I'm having sex with all of them.
Right.
So you say,
but I like you.
but so you saying that plays a point in sexual misconduct with
All of it plays a point. It's affecting my sex life.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, to a certain extent. Like, I used to be not aggressive like I want to take, but you know, as a young man, you're aggressive. Like, get after this, get after that. But being in the military, I try to make myself so sexy, right? Like, he's so intelligent.
He's saying inviting.
No, they're inviting,
Inviting,
right?
okay.
So like, damn, he look good. Damn, he smell good. Damn, he got a good job. Damn, he's smart. Damn, he take care of his kid. Damn, he's got his money right. Damn, he got it. I make a chick want to just sexually misconduct me, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm like, hey, what you want to do? You want to do this, right? Hey,
Did
shit.
you just say that to me?
Hey, you can't. They say you can't rape the willing. And I'm like, hey, I just want to make sure this is what you want, right? You know what I'm saying? Because there ain't gonna be no misunderstanding, right?
Okay.
I mean, I swear to God,
Nah, that's true.
I am not as aggressive until I know it's there,
Right.
And then when you get into that, like, when you spend most of your time as a man being the aggressor, because women have been the gatekeepers of sex,
forever.
and they still will.
Yeah, it's
Because the power of the P.
Yeah.
Women have so much power in the P. You can put a fine ass man on this corner right here and an ugly ass chick on this corner, 3 o'clock in the morning. Who getting fucked first? That ugly ass woman go get fucked first.
You know what I mean?
Right?
Like, hold on for a second.
I mean,
I got serious
You
real
like,
quick.
I mean,
It's honest.
It's
It's honest.
but that's
Be
what I'm
honest.
saying. So there's power. So women will be the gatekeepers. So we have to allow them to do that, right? But they don't owe us anything,
They
and we
don't.
can't take it from them, man. That's why, like, for real, I've changed my whole process about it. You know what I mean? And so you have to respect it, because I'm like, I'm just gonna do me, but I'm gonna make myself. I'm gonna try to stand out from different dudes.
You're gonna keep your eyes and ears open, basically.
I'm gonna make sure, yes, I'm gonna keep my eyes and ears open. That's why we talking about, oh, this chick, and we're just talking in general. Oh, this chick like girls, and oh, this chick squirt or whatever. Like, cool, great.
I
great.
was talking about that.
No. Hey,
Not really conversation. You
we're
guys
having-
know I'm real.
No, we real, right? And that shit, that's attractive to us. But
Yeah.
if you've been there before, like,
Yeah, you like, man, I ain't nothing. I've been there.
act like you've been there before. Like, oh, you do that for real? Well, every time you show up, bring that other girl. Like, what? Like, I ain't trying to pull a girl and then you like, oh, I like her. Now that's work.
Yeah.
Bring another girl. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? But
I get
past
it.
all that, you know what I mean? It's just the hassles of a man. Like, imagine being an aggressor, and then you wake up the next morning, and the chick says, "You sexually assaulted me."
That's crazy. You be in a whole different dimension from that point on.
And you like, you said you wanted to do it. Oh, I was drinking. I don't remember saying that. That happens.
And they always, well, not every one of them, but a lot of them will say, I was drinking.
That's not an excuse for. Let me tell you,
They
you
don't
can.
have to prove that, though.
No, but that's what ends up happening in the military. They be like, "Was she too drunk?" Then they bring in expensive ass experts, like, "Well, the hippocampus, it works like this." I'll be like, "Do you know the difference between blackout and pass out? Because passed out, you are knocked out. That's when people pull out Sharpies.
Right.
White people pull out Sharpies. You know what I mean? Black people like, come on,
Caucasians. We're just saying we don't.
Anglo-Saxons.
Ridiculousness proves the point.
Right, that's what I'm saying. But when you're blacked out, you can be blacked out and be completely conscious
Of what's happening.
of what's happening at the moment. It's just your brain is not recording at that particular moment
But
for
you
you to
can-
remember later on.
Shit.
So when you wake up and you had them times where we're like, yo, oh boy, you was out there wilding, man. Do you remember when you was doing the da-da-da-da? You was like, what?
I didn't do that.
It was right after them shots, man.
And
We
then-
went out there, da-da-da-da-da. It was right after them shots, man. So,
All nines. I'm just saying.
No,
No. He's talking about time.
Yeah.
We started at 15. We started at 15.
No, I was just saying, like,
Yeah,
based
yeah.
on what he was saying, like, hey, this is what you got had going on last night. And then he shows you the picture.
Oh yeah. Oh, you showed a picture. Oh yeah. That could be substantiated. That's usually substantiation like da. But again, then you would get into, well, did you know this person was drunk? Did you take advantage of them? Like all this type of stuff.
Yeah.
So my advice to people is like, yo, if you know you're trying to smash,
Let her smash you.
that, but also start getting consent early in the night. Like if you know you pushing up on somebody, like you notice the thing,
Yeah.
you're like, yo, what's good? Like, hey,
Are we having sex
tonight.
tonight?
Right. Like, I mean,
She's
you can
like,
do that.
yes, we are.
Boom. But you still, just because she says yes then, doesn't mean it's yes later. But if you get the yes later, and then you have sex, and then she wakes up, the likelihood is that she's gonna remember that she agreed to want to have sex. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I'm not gonna say 9 times out of 10. I'm gonna give it at least 66% of the time. People have sex, drinking, and consent, and know that that's what they wanted to do. A lot of times you see people having affairs, or maybe made that decision of like, this was some coyote ugly shit, but there's a lot of stuff that goes into that. But like I told you, I stay on the consent side. I'm like, shit, one of my nicknames is King Consent. I'm like, hey, this all on you. Anyway, man.
Okay.
Well, shit, I can talk for
Is
hours
the-
about that shit.
Let me ask you this: we all know about the Me Too movement now. You got a lot of moist booty culture happening. I mean,
some people don't like
sensitive,
moist. Some
This
people don't
man
like the word
said
moist.
sensitive-
moist
booty.
booty.
sensitive ass,
Douglas.
sensitive asses around.
Moist booty.
Are we talking about how people feel about the situation?
Not that. How does that play into the consent thing and sexual misconduct?
Me too.
Yeah.
Nowadays, yeah. I mean, what ends up happening, excuse me, is chickens come home to roost. You know what I mean?
That's always happening.
It happens in everything.
Yeah.
So like when somebody blows the whistle, like, oh, I was sexually assaulted by this dude, he did this and he did that, and then remember, sexual assault is an umbrella term, right? And so people then they describe what's happening. They're like, oh, this is what actually happened to you, and then other people hear that, they're like, that happened to me.
Right.
That same motherfucker did the same thing to me, and then this, but all that stuff. That's an egregious story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like, Weinstein and all this other stuff, like these powerful people abusing their power to get sexual favors or to think that they can roll up. Don't ever get it twisted. Like, people got a power complex, and when people have power, they think they can do whatever they want to.
Okay.
Now you can go back to the slave days. We talk Thomas Jefferson, one of the founding fathers who raped black women. You know what I mean? Why? Because he could, and he didn't have any consequence for it, and the motherfucker ended up being a president.
That's crazy.
You know what I mean? Like, the shit's still walking around. There are people who think they can walk around and do what the fuck they want to.
Yeah.
Higher authorities.
Higher authorities. And that's why, but you got people walking around without authority who think they can do what they want to. You know what I mean?
They're sick individuals. You know what I'm saying?
They're sick people.
They're sick individuals.
So the Me Too movement I think it's a good movement. Because let me tell you something. I ain't never been Me Too'd. Excuse me, that's a double negative. I have never been Me Too'd. Matter of fact, the closest I ever got, it was in a prior relationship where she was like, I think, like, on some of that side, it was like, you shouldn't have been a dead fuck, where it was some confusion about that, because I didn't do that shit to you.
Okay.
But like, we were in a relationship and I'm trying to figure out how we consummate this. Like, what do we do?
So even plays a point in like real relation, like
You
real committed
damn right.
relationship.
Yeah.
You damn right. Ask any dude out there, any married dude, bruh. Like, is the sex still as consistent as it was from the beginning?
No.
Nah.
Right? And what are you having to do? Like,
No.
you wake up in the morning with the thong with the you like, hey,
you gotta pretty much beg, ask questions. Oh, yo, we doing anything?
That's what I'm saying.
That's crazy.
That's what I'm saying. Familiarity builds content.
Yeah.
Right? But sexual misconduct happens all the time. It's just not considered misconduct. You in the house with your old lady, you all like, hey baby, grab her ass. she didn't just tell you you can grab her ass, but there's an understanding of consent until she mad, right? You be like, don't be touching my ass. Well,
But
So she
but
likes
that
it
doesn't
until she
apply.
likes it until it.
no, it
until
applies. That is not a defense.
Wait,
But she,
wait.
but they're married
Wait,
though.
wait, wait,
What are you
wait,
talking
wait.
about?
Marriage
They're-
is not a defense. Marriage is not a defense.
So
Trust me.
you in a
Trust me.
marriage and your lady loves when your hand is on her ass, and then when she get upset at something, and it legal happens.
Wow.
Let me give you an
That's
example. Can I give you a good example in the military so I can
Please
spit?
give us an example.
If you're married in
Okay.
the military
Okay.
and you grab your wife's ass
Yes.
and she doesn't want it or like it and she reports it,
Mm-hmm.
marriage is not going to be a defense, bro. Yeah. So you take that back to the civilian side because I don't like to differentiate. We're talking about morals and ethics.
Gotcha.
Oh,
But
you
there's
know,
a difference, like what you're saying with the civilian. And
what I'm
military.
saying is what's going to be charged. Like they're going to look at that in the military, like, oh, what happened, da, da, da. And eventually the wife might say, oh, I was just mad. I don't want nothing to happen to him. It might affect the benefits, da, 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 unless he actually did something to violate them, because that happens. And you know that's happened throughout the years.
Yeah.
You my wife, you gonna give me this, right? No, it doesn't work like that. You know what I mean?
That's crazy, bro.
But for real, what you got, man? Like what?
Like, nah,
Like
that's
I'm-
crazy in the mud, dude.
Flabbergasted.
But
If
that-
I
but-
can use that.
Because
it's all over the place, man. But we're talking about
it seems like from I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
It
no, you're
seems
fine.
like guys cannot be guys like they used to be. Like you
No.
couldn't be that man that's
No.
at home and like,
They
hey
should-
baby
They
girl.
have more power now, bro.
well, it's not about
They're
They have
empowered.
more-
They're empowered.
they're
They're
empowered.
enforcing
They're
their
empowered now.
power now, bro.
what happens is, man, when you're trying to think about an overcorrection.
Okay.
Think about when you're driving,
Mhm.
right, and you dodge something,
Mhm.
right, and then if you dodge it too hard,
Yeah.
you got to overcorrect, right? So
Mhm.
most people overcorrect it. It's always an overcorrection for what was wrong.
Mhm.
So if there was a lack of reverence and respect and dignity and morals dealing with people, and then the shit comes back out,
Mhm.
everything becomes an issue until the ship or the car gets correct. And then we'll start looking at, nah, come on now, like let's be for real. Where we at? So right now what you're dealing with is the overcorrection of all the wrong that has happened. And so everything is looked at like, oh, what's that? Oh, what's that? What's that? It's just an overcorrection. And it'll eventually get right. Because you got women who be looking at the Me Too movement like, come on now.
Yeah.
You put yourself in that situation. Like, it's all over the place. But it's just an overcorrection, right? It's just an oversensitivity, which is needed to get people back in check, to let people know that they can't just do what they want to. Especially the people who think they can do what they want to. Those motherfuckers
That's-
need to be put in check.
That's why he's doing 23 years right now.
And probably, and you'll hear a lot of people say, he need to do more. He grew up in a society that people let him do that. He's a victim of society just like a lot of people.
But you know he's not going to do the
probably
time in
won't.
regular
He
population
probably
like
won't.
anybody else. So
He probably won't.
he's going to be chilling.
He probably
Let
won't.
me chill.
What else, man? What you got?
We all know that there's no training in the civilian world for this. There's just like, hey, you messed up and you didn't know.
Oh man,
I didn't know. Judge, I didn't know what happened.
Man,
In the military,
man.
do they have it?
Yeah, they try to have training for that, man, because at the end of the day, they're spending money, taxpayer money, to build soldiers, Marines, airmen, sailors, and, you know, teaching them how to do their job, or teaching them how to be that particular component. And they don't want those people. Like, there's a lot of things going on. They don't want, that particular resource to get taken out the game because of some trouble.
Mhm.
So they lay training down all the time. But what I recognize is that we weren't training right. We weren't training right because there's no way. There's no way we're training right if this is still happening. Because I look back, because not only am I a legal professional, I'm a human being. And I've been going through this training my whole life in the military and watch it evolve and develop and get broken up. Refreeze, transition, freeze, like all this organizational change, right? But as a legal professional and as a prior avionics system technology specialist, I was taught to troubleshoot. But I also became an instructor in law from the Air Force perspective. So I had to teach people, and then I started developing curriculum. So when I came out, I'm looking at this, I'm like, no, this is all wrong. They're trying to teach people to be bystanders, bystander interventionalists or whatever. They just want them to intervene, right?
Stand there and not say shit.
No, they say, hey, don't let things happen.
Yeah.
Be involved in the situation. Then I'm looking at it like, that's not a crime. So you're telling people to be involved about a crime, but that's not a crime. He was like, oh, I'm like, you're trying to get people shot. You're trying to get people shot. You're trying to get people hitting them out. You're going to create a situation because people aren't smart of what they're looking at. That's why I said breaking down what sexual misconduct actually is. Teaching people what it is so they can discern on whether that's a crime or not. Or whether they just say, hey, bro, I know you feeling old girl. She been drinking. Is that your girl? No, I just met her like 5 minutes ago. Listen, there's a chance that she could be drinking too much and she could have a blackout moment and she might not remember that she consented. Bruh, you can wake up tomorrow and she can say, hey, you sexually assaulted me, you raped me. And the drunk dude gonna be like, man, I'm just trying to get like, he's like, hey, I'm just letting you know. But if everybody start coming together like that, like, no, bro, we don't want you to get in trouble. That person will become ostracized because people are, knowledge is power. That's why they kept it from us growing up. You know what I mean? When I say growing up as black people in this country.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? And when I say growing up, they started taking away slavery in the books and stuff. You know they doing that, right? Yeah. But what I'm saying is teaching people to be smarter about their situations. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to do. You know what I mean? Because two things. One, we don't want to see people going through that, so there is training. Two, I'm trying to make the training better because at the end of the day, I'm a legal professional and I don't want that stuff on my people's desk because some of it is not a waste of time, but sometimes it's just a mistake of fact. Like this person thought this and this other person thought this, and now you got a 50-50 split about what happened. It was like, do you even know what the difference is between rape and sexual assault? No. Does it matter? To a certain extent it does. Because you have to understand you can't put yourself in positions where you're drinking. Matters. You can't put yourself in positions where you're drinking because one of the misconceptions is you can't consent to sex while drinking. If that's the case, everybody on this earth who's at least 20, it's not even that. People drinking and having sex. That's what I'm saying. Have committed a crime, and that's not true. You can still consent while drinking, and if you're blacked out. And here's the crazy thing about it, bro. No names mentioned, but I had a doctor who gets paid a lot of money, a forensic psychologist, a forensic something, who did a training, and he was talking about the difference between blackout and pass out, and I was honed in, and he was like, hey, you know, scientifically, you cannot see a blackout. Which on the surface is true. But this is where I come in with my specialty, right? Because I'm a black man. I've been in the streets. Did I ever live in the hood? At some point in time, did I ever visit the hood? Yeah, I did. I did my thing, which I will not confirm nor deny. But I'm here now, right? I know what's going on. I'd have been to parties with black people, shit getting shut up. I'd have been to places with white people, people doing the dumbest shit ever, right? But you can see a blackout. Because if you've ever been to that party, and that person who keeps repeating himself to you, and you're like, why the fuck does he keep saying this shit to me? Like, you just told me that, bro. Like, we just talked about that.
You thinking? I'm listening. I'm listening right now. I'm receiving what he's saying.
You ever heard somebody?
I'm trying to see it.
Have you ever been at a party, or you been somewhere where there's a lot of drinking, maybe even drugs, and somebody just keeps saying something to you that they've already said to you?
Yeah.
That's a blackout.
But you're still coherent to certain things.
That's the thing about a blackout. That's the danger in a blackout.
So you can actually consent to
You can consent to whatever in a blackout. You're in the moment. The problem of a blackout is you don't remember later. So if you wake up next to somebody, you like, what the fuck did I do last night?
Hanging off the side of the bed and
exactly. And the dude like, man, I wake up like, oh man, maybe I'm gonna get this shit again in the morning. And she like, what are you doing here? What happened? Or him, because you know how life is. Like, what are you doing here? What happened? He's like, shit, we was having a good time last night.
What you talking about?
Like, what? I didn't. No. Have a good fucking time, because you are now in the fucking Matrix. For real. Because the blackout you like the doctor said, this motherfucker get paid a lot of money. He get paid a lot of motherfucking money, and me told him, no, bro, you can actually see a blackout. You ever did that? You ever seen that? That's a fucking blackout.
So you're talking about when the person actually goes to sleep?
No,
this is
blackout and pass outs are
moment.
different.
A pass out.
Because in order for you to not remember, you got to go through that stage, right?
No. With the brain.
With the brain.
So let me. I had this happen.
Okay.
I was at the bowling alley with a couple of my boys. We was drinking.
Think about that.
We was drinking. I decided to drive home, but I don't remember half to drive home. I remember waking up. That was it. Is that a blackout?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you know how many people do that shit, bruh? Drive home, been drinking, doing some type of drugs, wake up in the morning, be like, how the fuck did I get home? Go look outside, the car in the driveway, maybe not parked the same type of way. Be like, oh yeah, I drove. Motherfucker be like, where my keys at? Be like, shit still in the car, you know what I mean? With Waffle House hanging out the side.
So there was a time is a point in time from when you excessively drinking.
So
right? And then you lose that right then and there, that blackout.
Correct. So scientifically, blackouts are tied to the increased or the accelerated blood alcohol volume in your body.
I believe that now.
Right? So as it elevates, like you're so and you forget certain things. And you don't remember, but there's certain things you remember. And then the brain is a funny thing because your brain, if you think about memories from years ago, your brain automatically fills in the gaps that you don't have.
Yeah.
That's why people are not even good eyewitnesses.
Yeah.
Because their brain just fills in the gaps.
Yeah.
But there are some times where you're just like, what the fuck happened? You're like, how did I get home?
Yeah.
That's a blackout. But while you were doing it, you were actually able to do it. But now if you would have passed out while driving, you'd have been in a ditch.
Mm-hmm.
That's
I called my lady on the way home, and she said, "Yeah, you told me you made it home.
You had a whole conversation. You had a whole conversation.
I don't remember half the conversation.
But here's the difference. So I love using analogies. Here's the difference between the blackout and the pass out while driving. The blackout was he does not remember driving home, but he was coherent enough to drive home. His brain just it just didn't
because
record.
His brain remembers where he lives.
Because it's unconscious.
Yeah.
Right. That's an unconscious focus. That's an unconscious focus because he has built that memory system in his brain and his body to get to where he's going.
Yeah.
However, his brain did not record that particular trip. But he made a conversation. He called his girl, called her, stopped at Waffle House, grabbed this, hollered at a chick at Waffle House, saw a white chick that he might would have fucked with. Like, no.
Scenarios we were talking about in the distant world.
Right? But guess what? And then you might get home and be like, damn, I know. No, I'm just using it, right? You get home, right, and be like, God damn, I don't remember that drive. But you know what? I do remember this blinged out ass white woman that damn.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, pass out. If he was driving and he would have passed out while he was driving, he would have had an accident and maybe killed somebody or killed somebody else. That's why drinking and driving is bad.
It really is.
You know what I mean? But that's the difference between the blackout and the pass out. The blackout, which they call brownouts, is when your hippocampus is not recording the session, bruh. Like if we finish this whole little almost hour thing and then it wasn't recorded.
Well, we've been there.
Yes.
I'm sure you have. I'm sure you have. And I'm sure your ass had blackouts too.
Yeah, well, I wanted to have a motherfucking blackout, but you know, that's my motherfucking bro right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. Any tips, man, for the people? Any tips?
All right, man.
For guys, women, in general?
You know, I listen, man, I don't want to come off subjectively, right? Because everybody comes off subjectively about what they think.
Okay.
I've lived a life. I'll be 38 this years old. I'll be 38 years this year. I have a 17-year-old daughter about to be 18. You know what I mean? Like, I'm supposed to have like a 21-year-old, but you know, things happened back in the day. She wasn't able to have that kid because of her situation. It wasn't like, you know, go get an abortion. But I look around, I'm like, you got people 21 years old, and I'm like, shit, God, I can have. So it's all about reverence. Like, people like to use the word respect. Respect is a judgment.
Okay.
Because if you don't respect somebody, you're judging them, saying, what you do I don't respect.
and it gives you kind of like the authority to kind of do what you
Yeah,
do.
but if you say you respect somebody, you're still judging them. You're just accepting what they do.
Yeah.
But having reverence is having a deep respect for everyone, for human beings in general.
Absolutely.
Like I don't want to.
That's
I
me.
don't want to do. That's it. Look at him. Right? Like you don't want to
talking about me.
You don't want to do anybody wrong.
Gotcha.
Right? Like you look at. I hand to God. I cut on some pornography the other day. Right?
Which we all do.
Fuck yeah, we do. And I get very squeamish sometimes when I see Ebony Teen.
Woo. Yeah.
Right?
I would. Yeah.
Right? Like, because I have a black teenage daughter. So I'm like, I stay the fuck away from that genre. Right? But in this particular moment, I was like, I clicked real quick. I was like, oh shit, what happened? And it was just little slim black chick that I was like, oh my God, no! Cut that shit off, right?
Fucking right.
That's what I'm saying. But so I say that's still a sexual objectification that's going there.
Yeah.
So what I say to you, man, is that everybody is somebody to someone.
Yes.
Like people out in the street killing each other, you know what I mean? And our black on black crime doesn't become an issue until somebody non-black kills us, which is a problem. But there's a lot of social economical reasons why we're in the situations that we're in, and we can never forget that.
Yes.
But however, we still should have reverence because it's about respecting the streets, right?
Yeah.
Shit, one of my favorite songs by Jeezy is "If you ain't got no money, you gonna pay me in respect," right? Shit, it's a hard ass song. I love it, right? But it's about reverence. But you have to be taught this type of stuff. So there's a theory, it's a moral stages of development theory by Kohlberg.
Gotcha.
And Kohlberg is broken down by 3 levels in 6 stages.
Okay.
There's the pre-conventional, which deals with egoism, which just deals with yourself, right?
Yeah.
And it deals with the punishment stage. And so you're like, I'm not going to do that because I don't want to get in trouble. That's what little puppies do. That's what little kids do. They don't know why they can't do that. Don't stick your finger or a fork in that socket, little Damani, because that shit will kill you. She don't know that. She know that she got her hand popped when that happened or her ass whooped. That's the punishment. That's the egoism phase. The second phase is that, there's a benefit to me if I do this. So I know I can get in trouble. So I'm going to take this cookie out of the cookie jar. But I know I can get in trouble, so I'm going to sneak and do it because I want to benefit from that. That's pre-conventional, man. That's where toddlers and little kids live. You know what I mean? The second level, which is the conventional, which deals with relativism. Social relativism, like, when you're growing up in your teens, like, this shit wrong, but if everybody in your clique think it's cool, we good, right? You know what I mean? Like, socially it's cool, we gonna do it. That's stage 3. Stage 4 is cultural relativism, which deals with how the culture thinks something is right or wrong. That's why we can look at other cultures and be like, eating bat soup, that shit give you corona. And like, oh shit, look at corona, right? But culturally they do it over there. But it deals with laws, right? So that's where most people think. About if it's illegal, you shouldn't do it. Right? Oh, you shouldn't smoke weed. Smoking weed, that was an attack on weed back in the day, man. We won't even get in that. It's reefer, man. Let's go look at that. Right? But cultural relativism drives most of the shit.
It's a motivating force for everybody.
It's where everyone is because it's tied to the laws. Who makes the laws?
Legislature.
Congress. Right? This is why it's important to vote locally and state. And federal. Right?
That's another topic.
Yeah, we're gonna get there. It's all tied.
I'm on a different level.
It's all tied. But that's stage 2. That's level 2. Stage 4 where most people live. Now there is a third level, which is the post-conventional.
So higher consciousness. Okay.
Higher consciousness, but the higher consciousness is the 6th stage, which deals with virtual ethics, like Jesus.
Okay.
Right? The 5th one is we do the most good for the majority of people.
That's hard.
So if it benefits the majority of people, the minority of people, sorry, but it does do better for the majority of the people.
Gotcha. Which
is a step up from the whole cultural relativism, because you're like, fuck the law. We need to change the law because this is better for people. But then you got to hit that 6th level, which most people don't ever make it to, which is the Jesus principle, which I call it, the virtuous ethics. But Mohandas Gandhi, like all those people who were like, treat everybody good. Be a good person. Be a good cheer. Give it to people.
Love
like
everybody.
you know what I mean? Love everybody. Like somebody might smack you. You know
I
what
love
I
you,
mean?
bro.
And you like turn on the cheek, like Martin Luther King type stuff. And they're like, obviously there's a reason this person smacked me, right? So I was reading this book, Seed of the Soul, man, and it's an old book. Like Oprah endorsed it. There's a lot of people, but it was talking about that reverence. That's where I got that from. But it's talking about the intent of people and connecting your personality to your soul.
Oof.
You know what I mean? Because most people react on what they feel, see, smell, or
The
can
senses.
touch. The senses.
Yes.
And most people like, you know what? If the ends justify the means, but like I'm only looking at you and what your actions are. But you ever heard somebody say like, good intentions pave the road to hell?
I heard an old lady say that.
Yeah.
No, I've never heard of it.
Because you can have good intentions, but if the action doesn't do what people need, it was the wrong action.
So like being a drug dealer, giving people turkeys on Thanksgiving.
I like the analogy, right? But what I'm saying is, you're selling drugs to feed your family. So your intention is to feed
Good.
your family,
Yeah.
which are good,
Yeah,
but what you're doing
it's not good.
by cultural standards.
Ah.
But for real,
So is there a disconnect between the stages?
you're damn right.
Okay.
Well, there's a evolution for all stages, because guess what? If you're selling crack to the people in your neighborhood, is that doing the most good for the majority? No, but your intentions are good.
Because you're feeding your family.
But that becomes more like a lower level of moral development.
Gotcha.
Because I'll ask you this: what's the difference between morals and ethics?
Motive?
Morals and ethics. Morals are individual. Ethics deal with institutions and organizations and society. They tell you how to do it. Morals is how you're taught, and a lot of us aren't taught. And if you grow up, if you grow up with people who don't have the morals to teach you how to do better, you just learn from them. And that's how we pass down some of these bad omens, because we grew up, and black people are the only people who cannot tie their history and their ancestry directly to somebody. Everybody else here, Mexican, Japanese, Korean, white people.
Chinese.
The white people go look at all the crest of my family. You know what I mean? Like everybody can do it but us. But yet we built this country.
Yeah.
We helped build this country, but it was built on our back, just like you know what I mean? And one of the biggest tricks that people played was thinking that racism was the main factor. You know what the main factor? You know what the most important color is?
Green.
You're damn right.
If we don't learn that, we never will. This country is built off business.
Oh, for sure. That's why it's called capitalism. That's why they don't want Bernie. Socialism. They don't want that type
We
of
already
stuff.
have a sort of semi-socialist society.
But nobody cares. Nobody wants to be sad. Everybody wants to make money.
Yeah.
This is the era.
Everybody wants to.
But
make
nobody's
money.
honest about that for the most part.
Most people are, man. These people.
No,
get-
Trump? But yeah, the most honest people are usually the wealthiest people. The most dishonest people are people that don't have anything. They tell you, man, money don't mean anything to me.
Well, I have to respectfully disagree with you. Some of the most rich people will lie to you.
Yeah, they didn't have anything.
Well, no, they have everything, but still will lie to you to get more, unless they have nothing to lose.
It's true.
If they have nothing to lose, why do they have to lie? Why do they go lie to you?
It's true.
Like, hey, right now, because we're talking about, which is another episode. Hopefully, y'all have me back. I want to be regular, but I don't know. I did most of the talking, which won't be normal.
But that's why you're here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
We'll definitely have you back on them.
For sure. So when we were talking about black people spending a lot of money in different markets that they probably shouldn't, right? You can have people who are not black and turn black people away, say, I don't need your money. Get the hell out, right? You see that type of stuff, but you don't always see that. They'll take that money. Man, go look up a video of how to sell to the Negro.
No. I was supposed to get that book.
Yo, there's a video.
No. That's not a book. It is a video
It's a
because a
video.
white dude is speaking on it.
It's a video of
And
how to
he's-
sell to the Negro.
Is it on YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay.
Bro, it's retarded.
Yo, it makes sense though, because you don't sell cheap to a Negro. The Negro wants the
We're visual.
finest things,
We're visual. We want the
and we're
material.
overcompensating from a lack of generational wealth.
Scarcity.
Scarcity.
Scarcity mindset.
We all want to look like we got money
Yeah.
because we don't got money. but we want to look like him.
But you can't, like, as far as history is concerned, we've always been like that. Even
That's
in our
true.
because even our ancestors back home, when we had gold,
Yeah.
you know
We'll
what I'm
flash.
saying,
We did.
beads, we've always been like that.
But then
Correct.
there was a
Correct.
sense of community ancestrally.
So that's the point. We had got stripped of our community.
Yeah.
That's why we don't know ourselves.
So
Correct.
Okay.
And then they turned us into crabs in a bucket.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Trying to
where,
get
and
this
that's where
money.
that scarcity mindset
That comes from the Willie
Correct.
Lynch.
And Willie Lynch, Jim Crow, and all that. All that.
around smart brothers, people.
Yeah,
Man,
we are.
This has been awesome, man.
We are, and at the same time, we sitting here following these cups because I'm sitting here like, man, motherfucker, I want another drink.
We got vices, man. My advice to people, last tip, my advice to people is let people know your shortfalls. Be honest, but let
Be
people
honest.
know your shortfalls because ain't nobody perfect. You know what I mean? So why chase something that doesn't exist?
Be vulnerable.
Be vulnerable, be excellent, and let people know. I be like, shit, I drank a
Especially
little
for the
bit.
black man. That
Yeah.
please be vulnerable.
Be vulnerable.
Women love it.
Be strong.
I've seen it.
Yeah. Have emotional intelligence and read. You know they say you
Please
can hide anything from
read.
black people in a book.
You got Google now.
That's
Damn.
true.
You got Kindle, you got Apple Library. I mean, you got audiobooks now. Ain't no way you can get it in.
That's true. Them audiobooks is where it's at.
I'm actually going to an event. The guy that wrote Think and Grow Rich, The Black Choice is actually going to be at that event.
Oh, that's what's
So I'm
up.
going to meet him and I'm going to do my, hopefully I can get 10 minutes with him on podcast.
Thank you for telling me and not inviting me.
We were
Oh,
we were at Shad's event, so I was like, you know,
Appreciate him.
Mm.
I think there still might be some free tickets left. I'm gonna shoot you
I
that
probably
link.
can't go anyway.
I want to get involved in some of this stuff, man. I'm new here. I want to get involved in the community and what y'all doing. I mean, I don't mind being a tag along because that's what you got to do sometimes. Like, you can't just roll in like, I'm running this shit. That's not what I'm saying. But I know I got to get in where I fit in.
Yeah.
Which is why I wanted to get in on the last podcast because, like, I like sitting around talking about intelligent things and, like, having a couple of drinks and, like, letting it out because
Well,
that's what we need
yeah,
to do.
we can invite him to the mixer tomorrow. So,
Oh, the mixer tomorrow?
We Facebook friends, right?
No,
No.
I got his
Shame
phone
on
number.
yourself.
Why? Because I
You
just
send him the flyer.
I just got
Wait,
back
no,
on
I didn't get the
Facebook.
flyer. I didn't get the flyer.
All you do is screenshot the joint that's on my Facebook page.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Bruh.
That's
Screenshot
right.
that,
That's
send
right.
it to him.
I swear to
I
God,
got you.
I just joined
I'll send
Facebook. I just joined Facebook for the first time since 2012.
Wow.
Randomly.
That's a long time.
Since,
Damn.
That's when I bought my Chevy Impala, 2012.
my Infiniti.
Random is
10
fine.
years
It was brand new.
Yeah.
I was paid for it, but you know, whatever.
Well, that's good though.
You know,
Smart people learn how to keep stuff and invest in it.
hey, you know, it is what it is.
All right,
I
bro.
got you. You want to have them on every week?
I
Or
mean,
you
listen,
wanna do
listen.
We'll shoot
periodically?
we'll shoot
We'll
some
talk-
topics
we'll
at
talk-
them.
we'll
See where
talk.
we go.
Okay.
You know,
Just
I
put it
like-
out there.
I like
understand
it. If is it only y'all two?
yeah.
Bruh, y'all, come on, man. We can.
You guys want to have them back out?
Yeah,
Just
y'all
shoot
can
us
do
some
it.
comments
Yeah.
and stuff like that, and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
Good stuff, man.
Faison, anything?
Nah, man. Well, I enjoyed myself. Hopefully we're gonna bring him back out here. We're gonna see how things are. I mean, we got a chemistry.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
And
definitely.
we're gonna make this pop.
Yeah.
Next week, topic: independent versus independence in a relationship
Oh.
and as a
yeah.
person.
Yo, bro,
Whoa.
Woo!
Whoa.
we got you.
Whoa.
We got you.
You think you want to have them on for that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why not?
And I'll go over it after
Why
the
not?
podcast.
Don't even
But
worry about it.
So.
We're gonna have
Everybody,
him out.
love, much love, deuces.
Peace.